Hello and welcome to our presentation this afternoon on creating automated sales presentations. This is brought to you in partnership with Docs42 and Synergi. So to introduce myself, I'm Justin Short, Chief Operating Officer at Synergi. And a very little bit about myself. I've worked in the technology space for 30 years in business intelligence and automation primarily. I'm quite a keen motorcyclist, but I'm also particularly partial to the odd twiglet as well. From a background perspective, Synergi, as a UK partner, is a Microsoft partner specialising in Power Platform and automation in particular. We're actually based out of the northeast of England, but we've got people across the country that work with our range of partners, including Docs42, who we work with for document automation. So a little bit about today's scenario. We're going to be talking about an organisation that is a multinational telecommunications company headquartered in Scotland, clearly a fictitious business. They're on the banks of Loch Ness. They've got a large global sales team of over a couple of thousand people. And that's particularly relevant because the challenges that we're looking to address in today's demonstration are really around the fact that these guys have got a lot of diverse products and a lot of services that they're offering to a really diverse global audience. So the challenge of this wide global sales team is that they've really got to generate these packs of information quickly and easily. So if we take a look at what the current scenario is for these global sales representatives, they're looking at things like the size of organization that they're talking to, maybe the products that they're trying to offer those businesses, the industry sector that those companies are in, and even the geographies that they work across, and trying to manually collate a lot of that information into PowerPoint. Now for today's presentation, we're really focusing predominantly on PowerPoint as an output. Docs42 is a great document automation tool for a whole variety of formats, and in fact the presentation that's following on from here, I think in one of the auditoriums, is going to be showing you an awful lot more of the different types of outputs that we can create. Today we're going to be focusing in really on presentations and the PowerPoint side of things. But the key part from the challenge perspective is that this piece of the process is something that's taking many, many hours of valuable time away from the sales team, and if we divide that across lots and lots of sales team members and across lots of individual sales scenarios, the hours mount up really significantly. So from an automation point of view, what we're going to begin by seeing is how an intelligent guided form is helping to really seamlessly pull these information together and start to pull the information that's needed from the core systems of record like Salesforce and drive that through a document automation process that takes those few hours and shrinks it down into just a few minutes to produce these final outputs. And hopefully in what we're going to see in the demonstration, we'll see that happening. So in the live scenario, what we'll be seeing is that we've got a form that's being driven by data that's coming from a Salesforce platform. And so we're taking Salesforce information, which is in flow for the sales reps when they're working with these accounts. And we're using the power of the Microsoft layer in Power Automate and the Docs42 technologies in combination to combine a whole range of data sources. So these information could be coming from the Salesforce records themselves. They could be coming from other external APIs, from the Microsoft 365 layer itself, and ultimately we're creating the templates that we're needing to output that as a PowerPoint presentation. So with that, we'll come on and have a look at this in action and see the process as it's happening. So we're going to begin, okay. If I maybe end my slides, hopefully we'll see a bit more. Okay, so if I duplicate the slide. Okay, we're there. So what we're beginning with is the form that is effectively the presentation builder. Now what we'll see is this is already populating with information that it's driving through from Salesforce. So being an intelligent form, for example, it already understands who the logged on salesperson is, in this case myself. The second thing is that it's also securely connecting into Salesforce to pull back the accounts that it knows I can work with within Salesforce. So in this scenario, I'm going to pick up Arkwright's retail stores. For anyone over a certain age in the UK, you'll know fully well who Arkwright is. And of course, knowing that, Albert Arkwright, who is well known, is going to be our main point of contact. Now, at this stage, the intelligent form is helping these guys by driving a lot of this in the form. So if we know that they're a small, medium business, these are the products that we're going to be selecting for a small, medium business as part of the demonstration. So in our case, we may be interested in the Scottish Telecom phone option, but knowing Albert, he's never going to splash out on Apple kit, so we're probably positioning the Android for small, medium business range in here. Now, thinking back to the intro, we were saying that, these are a sector, as in retail. We're talking to a small, medium business. We're talking about a specific range of products. At that point, from a salesperson's perspective, and appreciate this is perhaps a simplified form that we're working with here, I can hit submit on the form, and at that point, all of this is going to go away and start to drive out the process of generating out our documents based on those templates. So we've got potentially a whole range of different scenarios here that are based on the different geographies that people are coming from, the size of the organisation, obviously the different product ranges, and the behind the scenes, if I just jump into the environment that we're looking at here, what we should be seeing in this SharePoint list library very shortly is that we'll see the Arkwright's retail stores here update, and we'll start to see that come through. So I think at the moment, if I just update this, we'll see that this one was generated actually a little while ago, so it'll take it perhaps just a few seconds for it to update on this, and we should see that we've got a new version of this Arkwright's retail store that pops into the channel, and we'll run this through. Whilst we're showing that, what I'll show is the difference between some of these outputs. If I'd run this for a different sector, for a different organisation, in this case one of the utility examples, we'd see a completely different output presentation. So from a template point of view, what Docs gives us is the ability to control very closely on the templates a lot of the conditions that we need to drive this dynamically. So in the templates themselves, the imagery, the backgrounds, the text, you can see that we've got placeholders in text here, but a lot of this is stuff that we can build in conditionally and start to data map so that all of the different sources of information, whether it's Salesforce, the APIs, 365, are all dynamically building out the document that we need. So if we jump back into here, we should now see that within, in here, we've now got this that was created just a minute ago. And if I go into here and we preview the document that it's built for us, we can start to step through this PowerPoint. And firstly, we can see it's tailored it for retail. It's built it for Albert Arkwright of Arkwright Stores, and it's personalised it for me. And then if I step through, we can see that we've now got specific information targeted at small, medium business. It's pulling in for retail experience, and we're targeting specifically Android for small, medium business. And finally, why Scottish Telecom rather for small, medium business. If I were to jump into one of the other presentations, such as the utilities piece, and we preview this, then this generation, based on the same form that we completed, has got completely different imagery. It's utilities, it's for a different person, and we can see that this has got more because it's focusing more into smart energy and the utility sector, and it's pulling in other information around a whole other product ranges, so around Apple for corporate, as well as the Android components, and why all these other areas in here as well. So from that presentation, we can start to see the flexibility of how the combination of the Microsoft 365 layer and the Docs 42 piece really come together to make this something that, from a salesperson's perspective, is saving a lot of time in generating these packs and having to do a lot of this manual effort. I think from a real-world scenario, what they're recognizing is that they get to about 80% through the automation, and then the final 20% is still being tailored personally and manually. But one of the interesting factors in doing this was that it's actually driven quite a lot of other requirements within the organization. So actually having automated the sales presentations in this way. One of the next steps that we're developing at the moment is to look at account plans. So again, pulling heavily on Salesforce information, but actually building out an entire account plan that again at the moment takes many hours to produce, and building that dynamically in a very few minutes based on that data. So hopefully that's a useful example. I appreciate people have got sessions to get to, so I won't hang around.